Hello guys and welcome back. In this session we'll talk about usage of finally keyword with exceptions in Python. So we have learned about try, catch, also in Python it is known as except, and now we'll talk about finally keyword and its usage. So let's get started. So now there's one more keyword in Python which is called finally, and this keyword is connected with try and catch. Okay, you will use this keyword called finally only when you have used try and except mechanism. This keyword will actually run no matter if there's a failure in try and it reaches to accept or not. Let me show you how you define this. So you say finally, and I'll just print, and I would say cleaning up resources. We'll stick with print statement for now. But no matter if there's a failure or not in try block, for example, let us run this and see. Now you have automation text file that we have seen in the previous session of mine, and I have written test.text, so definitely this will fail. So we'll do one thing, and let me delete this for now because this concept is clear, right? So let me delete this, and let's run and see. Now you see there's an error because this try has thrown an exception saying that this file does not exist. In this case, a finally block gets executed. Let's do one thing. Let's correct this and we say automation.exe, and now let's run and see what happens. If there is no error in try block, so the control didn't come to accept, but still the finally gets executed. Now you see, cleaning up the resource. Correct? So can I conclude something like that? There is one block, which is finally, that will get executed every time you run your test, irrespective of errors that you get in try or not. Right? So that means even if your test stops here or anywhere, it will look for finally keyword and this will get executed. For example, you have 18 lines of code and somehow your test execution has failed in the fifth line, okay, due to various reasons, obviously. So you need not to worry because before completing the execution, it will check whether you have finally block. If there is a finally block, it will make sure finally block is getting executed. Okay, now again, you must be getting a question as what is the purpose of finally keyword, why it is getting executed every time. So let's say you're working on one scenario in your automation test where you have created the data in the beginning, okay, for that particular scenario to test. So you created records in the beginning and you test, and your test is based upon those records. So finally, when your test is completed, you want to delete that record and you don't want to put records every time when the test is running. Basically, you need to clean up all your data, what you have created for the test to run, right? That's like a setup or a tear down, we generally call. So for example, now let's suppose, so here we are cleaning up the records, okay? So let's assume that you created records here, okay? And you do an execution and you clean up a record finally, okay? This is how it's supposed to be. Now for example, there is no concept of finally block, and let me tell you what problem you will face if there is no finally here, okay? Somehow due to various reasons your test failed, as we seen in the middle, okay? So it created a record when it is validating and it somehow got failed. So it has created the data, but while it is in the validation state, it failed somehow. So at that time, when test execution stopped abruptly, the last line you write to delete the records will not get executed. Now, for example, here you have written a code, right, to delete the records. It will not, because your test has failed here. It has never reached to this line. correct? In that case, record will be stored in your web page. Like that, if tests keep on failing every time, the chunk of data, what you created for your automation will be present in your application without any cleaning. You can still tell that you have written a code which will help you to clean your data. You've written a code. There's nothing that you've not written a code. You have written a code to clean the data, but in this scenario, your test execution failed in the fifth step itself. Then there is no point you write cleaning of these resources. No, right? Because the execution has still not come here. It has not yet reached, and your script has failed and it's stopped. Now see the beauty of finally keyword. Now if I say finally and if I say finally, but when you use finally block, no matter where your test failed, it will make sure that it will reach the finally block and it executes this block. In this block, you can write your code to delete the records or clean up your data or delete your cookies, to start again, in the next test. You have the requirement to delete all the cookies because this test has the impact on storing the data, right? Where the test may get, because the obvious reason is the test is getting impacted. So what you will do, you want to delete all the cookies. Even if the test fails in the middle, before reaching the next step, you have to make sure you have a clean up your cookies. You've cleaned up your cookies. So whenever you have this kind of requirements, make sure you put them in finally blocked. Okay, make sure you put them in a finally block and it will be taken care. Right? So that this is the importance of finally block, and that's how you can work with finally. And I hope you really liked my session. Thank you so much for watching.